Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This has been a crazy week. We have pretty much every day there's a podcast guest, and yet today is also a day where we have a guest. So this one is actually quite special because I personally know her and she's an amazing horse rider and she's a rising senior. This is Ailey Weng. Hi
Hi,
Ailey, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here too. So please introduce yourself and maybe talk about how you got into horse riding.
Okay, so my name is Ailey Weng, and I'm currently a rising senior at Doherty Valley. I kind of started riding when I was pretty young because my mom kind of just signed up for a lesson, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then that's my personality for the rest of my life. And at first, it was just something really fun to try, but over time, it did become a passion for me. And I love the challenge and the feeling of freedom when you're on a horse because it's just such a special sport to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's really cool because, like, I think at our age, there's not a lot of us doing this, right? Horse
Hmm.
riding is such a time-consuming sport. So, how do you kind of manage school and horse riding at the same time?
It was a bit hard for me to manage once I got into the training program where I needed to participate way more in horseback riding. So usually after school, I would just go to my barn straight from school, and then I go practice for like an hour. I also have to tack up and tack off and maybe rinse my horse. So there is a lot of connection things that are going on other than just riding him. And then I also practice on weekends. So yeah, to balance it
Yeah,
out.
that's definitely time-consuming. And so, like, you kind of mentioned, like, you have a horse. Like, how does the maintenance process work? Like, do you think that the maintenance takes more time than the actual riding?
I would sometimes say that. Like if my lesson is at 4:30, I would usually have to be there by 4 because I need to clean him and then put a saddle on him and get that process started. And yeah. I would say it's
Definitely.
more than just like, oh, I just come and I hop on and I go. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, obviously working with animals, are obviously, like, tough, right? Because you cannot really quote unquote control them, right? You kind of have to, like, be aware of the fact that if they don't feel like running today or, like, doing the things, you cannot really force them. So, how has that been for you? Like, how's that journey been with your horse?
Great question, actually. So my first lease, his name was Berlin, and he's quite honestly a pretty lazy horse. So in the first few months, I fell off so many times because he would just not want to work sometimes. Like he just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Yeah, it just goes like that. And then sometimes I lose my confidence, but then I always hope for a better ride next time.
Yeah. And so, kind of, what's been the most valuable part of horse riding for you?
What?
The
Like.
most valuable part of horse riding?
Yeah, I think what I love most about it is that like the bond you create with a horse. It's like a teamwork kind of thing. It's not like I mean, other sports are also just as amazing, but um, you're bonding with a partner that's ultimately gonna help you win, and you guys work together to achieve that goal. And every horse is different. That's what makes it really fun. You have to find out what they like, what kind of jumps they do, what they're like in the air. How can you use your body aids to help them going faster? Or yeah, that's just really fun. And it makes me feel pretty calm sometimes, even though it's kind of crazy to say. There's a lot of airtime involved in jumping.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's the coolest thing. I feel like horse riding, again, as I said earlier, right? It's a very uncommon sport for people our age to be doing. Like usually like people are older, like 21, 22. How's it kind of been like, when you're hanging out with friends and family, how's that outfit been? Like what do they think of your horse riding?
Well, they think it's a pretty special thing. Like at my age, I don't think anyone would make fun of, oh, you're a horse girl. Like no one really does that anymore, which I'm pretty happy about. I'm not that type of person to feel bad about it either, because I think it's a really cool sport that I should keep doing. I'm pretty happy that my parents are proud of me for doing it, and I would always show pictures to random relatives and stuff, and I get kind of humbled. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I really like it.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's actually like it's very like unique. Like it's not something that everyone does. And if you're doing it makes it even more special because it's not just like, oh, I'm just gonna horse ride one day and then I'm not gonna touch my horse again for a good 3 weeks. You're like,
Mm.
you're practicing and honing in on your craft, if you will. And so I guess my question is, has like, horse riding helped you in other aspects of life, like making friends or coming up with stuff in AP classes and things like that?
Hmm. Yeah, I would definitely say it's very helpful. Um, Like for friends, I make a lot of friends at competitions, and teamwork really builds the dream work. Because just think about it, it's like a race. If you hop on your competition alone, only takes like what, like 10 minutes max. But sometimes I have to stay for like the entire day just to support your team, and that's how you like build a good relationship with others as well. So I really enjoy that part. And then other than that, the idea of like horseback riding and jumping kind of helps me to build my dream because when you think about it, like my horse, he's pretty lazy. So sometimes he would stop in front of a jump, and it really kind of kills me inside. But what I've learned is that I should keep pushing it and try to get to the other side. Like my trainer always tells me, just try to get to the other side. Just look over the jump, and then that's where you're supposed to head to. And that really helped me, even in life as well. Like sometimes I still have to try, no matter how humbling the experience is. As long as you get there, it's already like a lot better. And I feel like that's really helpful. And I don't have to stress about being perfect with every jump. It's much more about patience and trust in the technique and getting comfortable and knowing the horse well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's beautifully said. I think, the thing that you just touched upon, like, it's about getting to the other side, like not worrying about like the obstacles in the way, especially with like you becoming a senior, like both of us. I mean, both of us are gonna be seniors in like literally next month, which is crazy to think about. But like, it's a great thing to think about, especially now, because this is where it actually counts. And it's like, yeah, this hurdle is there, and we're trying to basically, in this scenario, I guess we are the horses.
Yeah,
We're the ones trying to like, train and like get past those hurdles so we can reach the finish line, which in this case, I guess, is college and the future and whatever is next for us.
that's true. It's so crazy to think that we're gonna be seniors so soon. Still feel like a
Yeah.
freshman inside of me.
Yeah. And I guess you kind of did touch upon this a little bit earlier, but what do you
Mhm.
think is the most common stereotype surrounding horse riders, and how have you kind of proven it wrong through your own journey?
Well, as a lot of people say, horse riding is not a sport. But in my defense, first of all, it is in the Olympics. Second of all, well, I guess good riders make it look easy. That's why people just think that, oh, if you're on a horse, they're the ones jumping. They're the ones. I mean, you're not wrong. It is a 50-50 kind of thing in this sport. And they honestly just think that the horse is doing all the work. You don't do much. Your body is kind of just on there. But I've kind of proved this to my parents by letting them on a horse and could not get my horse to move one bit because what's more about it is that your core strength is used a lot in horseback riding, and obviously it's not something that you can tell right away if you're looking at someone that's riding. And yeah, and where body kind of like flows with the horse's movement. That's why it seems so easy sometimes, it seems so easy to go, but it's really not like that. And we use our legs, or I guess the back of our heels, to go against the horse's stomach, belly area. That's where the engine is, and you keep them going that way. And that's also a movement that people cannot really tell when you're just pushing against something, you know. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's quite interesting too, because I've tried like what you just said, it is a sport, it is 100% a sport, the same way people are like dance is not a sport, but it is a sport in a way, because especially ballet specifically, like you move certain parts of the body, and it's like I feel like if you are sweating and if you are putting like some kind of energy or effort into it, it's considered a sport. But I guess to that extent, then you could say that people who work and build houses are like doing a sport. But at the same time, it's just like it's up to debate. I think it's a debate that's not easily won or lost because everyone has
Mm,
different perspectives. But at the same time, it's like for me specifically, like sometimes you go away for a summer camp or just go for a day trip type thing. And I've
mhm,
tried like, sitting on a horse and like riding it, but it's really hard. Like as you said, it's easy like if you're a professional rider or you know what you're doing. And the speed of the horse is dependent on the person riding. Like if you're not comfortable, you're gonna fall off a million times or not even really know where to put your feet in the saddle and like how to move, right? And then obviously there's the thing of horses getting spooked easily, so they like, react in
Mm.
ways. And obviously the number one thing is never stand behind a horse. I learned the hard way.
Oh, oh no, what happened?
I mean honestly it didn't like actually kick me, but like it can kick you. You can easily find
Oh,
out, that they do if there's no like trust or connection built, things can happen.
yeah, that's true.
Have you had any like crazy experiences with your horse?
Oh gosh. So, also in the first few months of me jumping with Berlin, we were going to this diagonal jump and he saw this deer hopping over a fence like a mile away. And he got spooked by that. I don't even know how he saw that. It was like in the corner of his eye. But yeah, he spooked and I wasn't ready for it, so I fell off. But yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of funny. And he just ran away and he would run in circles until he comes down. Oh gosh. It's
kind of
kind of
like, going deeper into that aspect, like we see that a lot of shows out there and a lot of movie and TV representation of horse riders. Have you like what do you think of the way they portray the sport?
I think it's pretty well portrayed, but there's more parts about the connection, the bonding in it, and also the scary part. Like sometimes, especially when you're on a fast horse, they're more easy to spook and react in a unexpected way. So you have to mentally prepare yourself really well for those. And but you have to also learn how to fall safely and get back up, so you don't humble yourself in front of like 1,000 people that are watching you show.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I don't remember, I think it was this Netflix show called Free Rein, I believe. Right?
Oh.
And in that show basically kind of was exactly what you just explained. And however, for her, like, she didn't have the technique mastered, and so when she fell, she broke a lot of her like I don't know if she broke it or dislocated, but her shoulder blade basically went out of place, and then something happened to her back and her hip. It's like how kind of like do you ever like have that fear in you of like something like that happening? Or are you like, you know that things are gonna go well because you've trained for these scenarios?
Mm, I would say it does kind of scare me sometimes, especially when, as Berlin, he's a great horse, like by all means, but he is lazy. And sometimes he refuses a lot. Like in front of one single jump, he would do it 3 times. And then the next time I do it, I'm scared that I'm gonna fall off. And I just keep losing confidence in doing it, but my trainer always pushes me to do it, so I don't have a choice. But yeah, and then at a show as well, at a competition, like I'm not sure if I can do it. I just stare at it, and then I get really nervous. I can feel my heart rate going up, and all that. I would say it's normal to fall off. It's kind of like a part of learning how to ride. But yeah, it's really scary, and that's also why we should always use head protection, like a helmet and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hearing like, the process that goes behind the horse riding shows like, what is presented online isn't just what's happening. There's a lot of prep that goes behind it and a lot of effort. Like, I've seen obviously a lot of your videos on Instagram and things, and you see like, oh wow, that's amazing. And like obviously looking and you can tell that yes, a lot of effort has been put in, but you don't really realize the quantifiable amount or the amount of falling down and getting up and all that extra things that you just don't see is going behind the big product that you see in the end.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like it goes for all sports as well. Like you don't just look at somebody and say, "Oh, it's because they have a good horse, that's how they're winning." Not really. They're putting a lot of work and effort in it. And there are just aspects that you're not seeing at a competition that they're working really hard, you know. Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. My last and final question for you is what advice would you have for people who are just getting started in the horse riding industry?
Yeah, so I would say start slow and don't worry about being perfect because at first you look at the better riders and you always think, "Oh my gosh, I need to push myself. How do I get better?" It doesn't just happen like one lesson you're kind of bad, one lesson and you're really good. Like it takes time, Plus that we don't have that much horse time. You know, you don't get to be on a horse like every second, like you get to go to a gym or something. Like it's more free and you don't have to think about, oh, the machine's gonna get tired, right? So I feel like what you have to do is to have a lot of patience and trust as it is about skill. And you should always find a good instructor and take time to get to know the horse. Even though for a riding academy, you would get lesson horses. They're like school masters. I started with a riding academy as well, and I feel like it really helped me to build. Um, I don't really know when it happened. I feel like it just naturally you just become better, and then your position, your form, everything just gets better and better. It doesn't happen in a lesson. You improve throughout time. So I know a lot of people that they're like, oh my gosh, I really want to do horseback riding, and then they do it for one lesson and they quit because why haven't I jumped yet? Because you just started, right? You should. It's a process that takes a lot of time, and you have to be patient about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the last point that you just said is, I think it applies to pretty much everything. I feel like now we kind of have like such a low attention span in general, so that when we either lose interest in the class itself, like you're just halfway through, if it's 3 hour lesson, you're halfway through and you're already like bored and like, of course, unless you can't fall asleep because you're on a horse. But I guess you will know what's gonna happen if you fall asleep on your horse. But like we don't have that patience in us anymore where we're willing to go past that first lesson and be like, okay, well, first lesson we just do the warm-ups because it's almost like you're a child just like learning how to like say the alphabets. You already want to like be reading books or like reading sentences or writing sentences, but you don't really know the alphabets yet, right? In order to do the big thing or the big jump, you need to know the foundations. Like how do you interact with your horse? How do you you know handle the horse in a way that you won't get kicked or jumped on.
Yeah, that's very accurate because I see even at competitions or even online, I see a lot of riders. They might have bad instructors where they have a wrong mindset, however shaped by who. Um, like they just put the jumps higher, but their form and foundation is really not there yet. And I feel like if your form is really good, you're gonna be able to get over any jump, like any height. But if you just keep building the height and you feel like you're good by saying, "Oh, I've done the meter tens," like, but your foundation's really not there yet. Like, people need to work on their flat work more, like groundwork, and I feel like it's not being emphasized enough in the horse industry. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I do think like, I feel like, I think that's just might be because I'm not a horse rider, but I think the horse industry just has been very slept on. Like we don't talk about it enough. I think you're probably the only horse rider like I kind of follow because like I know you, but like
Hmm.
there's a lot of horse riders out there like Olympic it's in the Olympics like you said, and a lot of them are just not being recognized. Like I recognize Simon Biles, I recognize Jordan Childs and everyone, but it's like I don't know any of the horse riders because like I just don't watch it. But I feel like we need to watch and appreciate the sport more just so like it can gain the exposure it needs.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like with more exposure and public knowledge about how it works, it would become a better sport and the community would definitely be better. Yeah, thank you so much. Those are really good
Yeah.
questions, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy that you're choosing me. It's, I feel like this sport is really fun and more people should know about it.
Thank you so much. So everyone listening to this episode, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all for a new episode very soon. Have a
Yay.
great day, and I'll see you next time.